Welcome to the video. Today I'm going to show you my masking process with watercolor and gouache and how I use it in my paintings. I've gotten a lot of questions about this, and I just want to say by no means is this the only way you can mask. This is just how I approach it. So let's get started. The tape. To me, this is just simple craft masking tape from my local art store. The brand is Express It. I've used other ones before, and it's been a bit of trial and error because some are way too adhesive and some are not adhesive enough. Masking fluid. With the masking fluid, I go for the trusted Winsor & Colorless masking fluid. I've tried some other tinted coloured brands before, but they left colour stains on the paper and I wasn't a fan of that. The craft knife. This is just your cheap standard craft knife from Amazon. Nothing special. It's sharp and it comes with different blade heads. The masking brush. I use a silicone tip sculpting tool for my masking. They apply well, they're easy to clean up, and more importantly, it doesn't ruin your brushes. The paper. This might be what makes my paintings work. I use Arches 300 GSM medium cold press paper. It can withstand a lot of water and a lot of punishment. I know it's more expensive, but it's definitely worth it. Let's start with the masking tape. I use tape to mostly mask my paintings to apply the background, so I don't have to be careful with the washes. So here is the area that I want to paint, and I want to keep this section clear and paint the background. So I start taping the areas I want to protect. Running my finger along the edge and pressing down firmly so that it's sealed. 99% of the time it works, a few minor instances where it hasn't. Now applying the wash. I used a lot of water to do wet on wet here. I was pretty carefree with the paint as well. I don't mind what it looks like. I just want to load it up with a lot of water to see if it can resist everything I throw at it. Now the masking fluid. Sometimes it dries up and gets stuck in the top. Just pull that out and chuck it right in the bin. Masking fluid is pretty straightforward. Just dip it in and place it on the areas that you want masked. I've tried a lot of applicators for masking fluid, and I find that these silicone brushes probably work the best. Mainly because using a brush really just destroys your brush at the end once the fluid dries on it, and there's no getting it off. I've loaded this paper up with quite a lot of masking fluid. You probably don't need this much, it will take quite a while to dry. Thin layers still work pretty well, but I do tend to load up quite a bit with my paintings just to make sure there's no bleed through. And just applying a smooth gradient wash here. I thought it would look pretty. Here we have tape combined with the masking fluid. Sometimes I combine the two together if I have some tricky edges or small areas that I really don't want to carefully tape and cut. Also, when I lay my tape, I seal each joint of the tape with masking fluid because if I'm being careless with my wash and get it on the tape, I don't want any chance of it leaking through underneath.
so the fluid helps stop that. It's only happened a few times where it's leaked through, but it's a good preventative. Just some random bold colours to go over with. I don't mind what it looks like again. Also painting across the line in the middle, just so I can see if it will seep through or not, which it won't. Now onto the knife. I get a lot of questions asking, does it cut the paper? And the answer is yes and no. It depends. I'm fortunate enough that usually the areas that I'm cutting have a definitive separation between like the subject and the background, or whatever it is. So if I was to cut the paper, you wouldn't really see it. But I always aim to not cut the paper, because if you do and the watercolor gets into it, there can be really dark pigments or blotchy areas when it dries, and if that's not your intention, then you won't want it. Alright, let's go over the cuts. So here I started off a bit firm and then went lighter towards the end. And here I went relatively light through the whole thing. You can see a little bit on the right hand side, but it's not that much pressure. I'll tick the ones you probably won't see, and I'll cross the ones that you may see, depending how much pressure I used. This one here, I pressed it really hard through the whole entire thing, so we should see that. The square, I went light to heavy, and then a bit of mid. And the last curved one here, not too sure. I think I pressed quite hard through the whole thing, so we'll see once the watercolor goes on. I'm applying quite a wet layer of watercolor, just so I can see it seep through. Straight away you notice where I started pressing hard at the start and went lighter. There's a little blotch there. Then on this far side I pressed quite hard and you can see the whole entire line. Let's peel it all off and see how we went. Nice and slow. I don't know why, but I tend to peel on like the 45-degree angle. I feel like instead of just ripping it straight off vertically, you kind of slowly peel it off. If that makes any sense? I want to avoid ripping as much as possible. Luckily with this paper, it's pretty good. I haven't had much issues with it. With the masking fluid, you can use other things to get it off, but just for an example here, I just wanted to get it off quickly, so my thumb it is. Not many issues here. It covered everything that I wanted, but you can see with the little circles or the bubbles, it's a little bit of a shaky outline and not a hard definitive line. That's the only thing that throws me off about masking fluid sometimes. But still looks alright. Because I had masking fluid both sides of this, it was just easier to rip it straight vertically. Like I said, I don't normally do before. Just like ripping a band-aid off. taking the masking fluid off, looks like there's no leakage through, and the tape line and the masking fluid both held up really well together. Here you can still see where I pressed a bit dark, and you can see the little blotch up the top, but as you go down it fades out pretty well and you can't see much there. That was still an issue though. With this triangle I pressed really hard, so you can definitely still see that. Although the watercolour didn't leak into it much, but it's still quite visible. Up here, pretty invisible, you can't see too much there. Even on that side, didn't turn out too bad. This square wouldn't get the pass in my books. It's not too bad, the right side's not bad, but the top and the left side were actually a little bit darker or deeper than I thought. Now this line actually faded pretty well, but you can still see the line of the watercolour dried up. It's like a faint white line that traces the cut line that I did. So it might be minimal, but it's still pretty noticeable to me, and I would be, dare I say, disappointed if that happened. Alright, let's peel it all off and see once again if the tape held up. If you made it this far, thank you, and a like and a subscribe would do wonders for my channel. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, I hope you're all having a good day, and until next time, keep creating, and thanks for watching.